Welcome back, my friends. Today we are on a quest for a nice economical plinking load here with a 55 grain bullet in the 223 Remington here. We have a handful of these berries, 55 grain projectiles on hand, and we picked up some Ramshot X-Terminator, still relatively cheap, comparatively speaking, to the market, and it's supposed to be a really nice ball powder, flows like water, and it should be a good bullet here for lighter bullets in the 223 Remington. So we're going to try it for some blast-in loads here for the AR-15. However, we will also be testing it in the 20-inch bolt gun, the Howa 1500, just to compare velocities and see how the different twist rates might treat the bullet or whatever we can see from that. So we're using these Unis Genix small rifle primers. They have a red compound, or pinkish, reddish pink, and the yellow brass style cups. These are the Berry's 55 grain projectiles. They sure are nice and shiny. I think it's, they look pretty similar to their pistol bullets as far as having the same kind of copper. So they're probably made right there with all their other stuff. Haven't shot these a whole lot before, actually at all. So this will be a first with these. And then Ramshot X-Terminator. If you look at the load data, Ramshot X-Terminator and accurate 2230, exact same thing, identical powders. There's several accounts of them confirming that it is the exact same thing, just different packaging. So go check that data yourself if you need to, but that's what the internet's been saying at least. Anyways, it says here, X-Terminator performs extremely well with light to medium bullets in the 223 Remington. Double base spherical powder for high volume varmint hunting. Maybe we can try this with the 55 grain soft points. Maybe a 40 grain VMAX or something fun like that. Excellent flow characteristics. Small grain size allows trouble-free loading. Woo! So here's a look at our dummy round. We're seated out at 2.22 overall inches. And of course, using Lake City brass, full length, small base sized. I know a lot of you say small base is useless. It probably is, but I don't know where that once fired range brass came from. So I'm gonna go ahead, just in case, and run it through a die, okay? Okay. So what exactly are we testing here today? Well, we're gonna start way down at 21.5 grains and work up to 23.5. Again, we're going for economics here, so we're going to start at our lowest charge, see what happens there, and work our way up and see if we can find any kind of accuracy along the way. Again, these are full metal jackets. I don't need them to explode on target or anything like that. We're not looking for terminal ballistics. We literally need it to pop out the barrel and go ting on the steel targets. So whether that's going 2,500 or 3,200, I don't really care. And especially if it saves me from, an extra 50 rounds per pound of powder, that could end up being pretty economical depending on how much you're loading. Anyways, these have already been loaded. We've already shot them. We've already gone to the range, gathered our data, and then shortly after that I shot the chronograph. So, at least I got the data for this test, but let's check it out and see what we did. Okay, so today's report is basically garbage. We didn't learn a whole lot. It was cold as freaking, very cold out. Maybe 30 degrees, windy, cuts right through you no matter how many layers you have on. And this powder does not like the cold at all. I think we had a few hang fires on these super low charges here at 21.5 grains in the bolt gun. So let's see what happened when we started at our 21 grains. So first 5 shots, we are impacting to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an average of 25, 31, extreme spread 120, deviation of 41. Pretty gross, and yeah, that's probably 2 inches, also pretty gross. So I was pretty certain we were gonna go off the page here with our second charge. Velocity kicked up to 26, 28, extreme spread of 70, and our standard deviation is only 25, which is an improvement, but still pretty gross. And our impacts were over here, and they were actually pretty well grouped. Too bad I didn't actually take note of that, but probably, a little bit better than this, but not an inch or anything like that. So Still pretty gross and not worth noting. Moving on to our third charge, velocity down somehow to 2615, extreme spread back up to 121, and our deviation doubled to 49. And we can see this disgusting crap here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's only about an inch. And then way down here, we have a fifth shot. So there's a gross 5 or so inches. This could very well be human error because there's an inch there. That was probably within an inch or two there, like we said. 2 inches there. I don't know how this opens up to 5. You know, I'm going to take responsibility for that, but we're not going to, discount it. That's what happened. Moving on up, 2732, 147, and 51 deviation. There's 4 here. They're starting to come together, but then we still throw one low this way. Dang it. I'm going to, again, take responsibility for that. This seems like the trend. We've got 4 and a flyer, or one that I throw, 4 and one that I throw. And then if we kick it up to our highest charge here, we stack these 4 in here real nice. But then we have one right at the edge of the page. There's just barely a little crescent taken off the page there where the bullet took that. Anyways, there's 4, probably a half an inch, but then this one opens it up to 2.5. So if that's me, that's me. That's what I did. Whoops. Velocity 2871. Extreme spread 122. 45 on the deviation. Not good stuff here. I think we are tightening up on the top end, or rather, I guess this is the middle charge based on our 25 grain max from Hodgdon. But remember, we were starting for economy, so it does look like if we take out the human error, it's starting to tighten up as we go along. Definitely subject to retest here. Again, it was super cold and crappy. Hands were like frozen. I could barely feed the rounds into the magazine, or the bolt gun one at a time even. But this is what we had with our Howa 1500 at 100 yards. Let's check out the AR-15. Okay, so we're down to the 16-inch barrel, and our first group here at 21.5. We're down to 2345 velocity, spread of 245 gross, and standard deviation of 111. We've got 4 plus a flyer, just like on the other target. Those are at an inch, plus the one there. Yep. Second group here, M in here. Somehow we shift way left instead of right. I think I gave it maybe 2 clicks, but that might have been a click too far. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are about an inch and a half, I would guesstimate. Average velocity dipped down 2193, but an extreme spread of 200. That's suggesting we could be down at 2000 or up at 2400. That's pretty gross. And standard deviation of 83. Ewy. Looks like it has some kind of double grouping happening, so definitely not a good charge weight there. But then up here at 22.5 grains, velocity 2414, 221, and 91. That's still really gross, and we still have this double grouping happening. So 3 here, that's probably a half an inch, and then these 2 up here, maybe 3/4 of an inch there. But altogether, that's a 3-inch spread total. So very gross. We're obviously in between nodes. So let's kick it up, see what 23 grains look like. So here we are at 23 grains, average 2464, extreme spread freaking 304, and 111 deviation. Disgusting, gross hue. Again, we'll group there, and then throwing them or double grouping, or I don't even know, man. I'll throw out excuses. It was cold and miserable and couldn't even feel my finger. Crappy mil-spec trigger. Could be that we're still way on the lower end and this powder needs to kick up and actually get a nice burn and pressure going to get consistency, which would probably help with accuracy. And some bullets don't even start flying until, velocity X or Y. So we're probably still way under that, and it's still asleep, if you will. We haven't even begun to wake him up yet. Anyways, next charge, final charge, 23.5 with the 16-inch, 4 down here, and we threw one high, or it, that's how it groups. That's what it seems like it does. 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, blah, blah, blah. Velocity, 2582, 187, and 68. Standard D there. So again, 4 of them into an inch, and then boom, dummy either throws it out, or that's what these bullets do. But I don't know, we could probably redo this test tomorrow, and I have no idea what would happen. So it does look like with our max charge here at 23.5 between both guns, it's trying to make a group, but it'll throw one out. So trying to make a group, throw one out. I think we still need to kick it up a little bit because our velocity, 28.71, we're still pretty low compared to where the books is suggesting. And we haven't really quite seen any pressure signs yet. So speaking of pressure, let's take a look at our brass and see what's going on there. This is our first charge. The bottom 5 are the AR-15. The top 5 are the bolt gun. So we can see very rounded primers, nothing happening except this very top charge with our bolt gun. There's a few just barely starting to flatten, but you can still see room past the sides there where it is rounded. And I'm figuring out that these Gen X primers are fairly soft. They're looking really good here on our AR-15. Still very round here, and we're at least 1.5 grains below maximum for Hodgdon. So it looks like we need to bring it up a little bit. I think our powder's still sleeping and our bullets haven't woken up yet. We might need to test a little bit higher. So yeah, with our Lake City brass, Gen X primers, so on and so forth, we're gonna keep all that the same and kick it up a little bit. We're gonna try 23.5 again to see if we can get that little cluster of 4 and get that flyer to come in a bit, see if that was my fault. You know, if that is, then we could have a nice group at 23.5 and save a little bit of powder. But we're also gonna test 24 grains and 24.5 and still be under the maximum from Hodgdon. So that'll give us room to further work up again. But if we find something here, maybe it'll start waking up if we hit maybe 3,000 feet per second or something. But I just made that up, who knows? I know some powders like to be pushed right near the maximum or that full case fill, or you know, the case capacity. We need to be more full to get a complete burn for some powders. They like it like that. Also, some ball powders, especially double base ball powders, they're harder to ignite, and especially when it's 30 degrees outside, they're gonna give you crazy velocity swings like we saw here. 300 feet per second extreme spread. That's insane. So maybe a hotter primer would kick that up, or increasing the powder charge would give us a higher pressure before it actually broke the seal, sending the bullet out the barrel. And maybe that would level out the velocities and pressures and spreads that way. There's about 1 trillion variables we can try, but the easiest one is going to be kicking it up a little bit at a time until we hit that pressure where the bullet likes to be flying at, or the powder likes to be burning. Hopefully we find a combination of the two. So do you guys have any experience with Ramshot X-Terminator, or what is your favorite 55 grain blasting load that's economical rather than max velocity? So let me know about those. Anyways, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna come back with the some of these loaded up and we'll hit the range again. Anyways, thanks for joining me, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.